Welcome, I'm Michael Bickert. Thanks for joining me today as we explore concepts with the objective of improving your management skills and growing your business. Now grab a notepad, grab a pen, because I want you to make notes. I want you to make a commitment to yourself that you will jot down some sort of action item today, something that you can implement today that will drive your business forward. That's what this is all about. We want to get inspired, we want to think of things, we want to analyze, we want to do introspection, and we want to implement ideas. Take those thoughts out of your brain and materialize them in your business to move forward. Now, often I talk about how it is so imperative for you to align the objectives of the various stakeholders that impact your business. And that is crucial. And it occurred to me, however, that just doing that is not the optimum way to gain synergy, to make sure that the cumulative results are greater than the sum of the parts, the sum of your efforts. So let's just review a little bit about aligning objectives and how that's primarily done and the way you think about that. And then I want to talk to you how to optimize that by adding the power of relationship. All right. So first of all, aligning incentives, aligning objectives. I usually talk about that with your stakeholders, and let's just review again who your stakeholders are. Of course, it's your business partners and anybody who has a stake in your business. And I don't mean a financial stake, I mean that they have a vested interest of some sort. They are depending on the outcome, or they benefit from the outcome. So of course your business partners or any investors would qualify as stakeholders. Additionally, your family. What about your management team, your front lines, all of your team members, your vendors, and your third-party suppliers, these types of people. Your customers for sure are stakeholders, and I always add the surrounding community are stakeholders in your business, because society as a whole benefits when your business benefits. And you may also have some sort of residual effect to operating your business on the community. It may be environmental, it may be positive or negative, but they are stakeholders nonetheless. So when we talk about aligning your objectives with your stakeholders, you want to think about how you can do that, how you can make sure that both of you want the same thing, that all your stakeholders want you to be successful. You want your business to grow and be successful, and you want each of those stakeholders or those aforementioned people to also benefit and want you to be successful. So think about that and how you can do that. Now, often when I talk about this, it relates to your team members, those people that work for you, that are employed by you. And I've often said that the two main ways that you need to look to align objectives and align incentives, I use those terms interchangeably. But the main ways that you can do that are to look at their remuneration, their pay plans, and the way that you recognize them or evaluate their performance. Those are the two main things that the people on your team are probably reacting to. Those are the two main things that are guiding them. In fact, I've heard it said that if you want to know how management expects its people to behave, take a look at the pay plan. I would also add, take a look at the performance evaluation, take a look at the performance metrics that management uses to analyze and reward its people. So people are looking for more than just their pay, they're also looking for recognition and acknowledgement, commendation on a job well done, and they can get that when you make it clear to them how they get that typically will influence how they respond. So those are the things that we talk about a lot as it relates to your team members. And you can apply those things also to customers and others, but you don't have necessarily a pay plan. So you have to look for other ways with stakeholders that aren't employed by you to make sure that they want what you want. So it's a win-win situation is bottom line what it comes down to. But today, what I really wanted to focus on is, as true as that is, I have sold you short by not explaining the value of optimizing for synergy by working on relationship. So you want to develop your relationship with each of your stakeholders as well. So we can think of this, if we're going to put it into a formula, a mathematical formula, aligning objectives plus solid relationship equals synergy. And you can gain so much in terms of consensus and cooperation with stakeholders and achievement, desired outcomes and results by combining solid relationships with alignment of incentives, with the alignment of objectives. You want to, as I like to say, all be rowing in the same direction. You don't want to have this push and pull relationship between you and your stakeholders. You want everything flowing smoothly and organically. And imagine what it would be like to operate your business if all of the people that are affected by your business wanted what you want. We all want the same things. So often I've been in meetings and in communications where we say that. We all want the same thing, so why aren't we working together? Why aren't we collaborating? Why aren't we cooperating? It usually comes down to one of those things that we just talked about. Whether the incentives aren't aligned, and it could be remuneration, it could be the way that performance is measured, or it could be the relationship. So let's focus a little bit more today talking about relationship. And when we talk about relationship, think about any kind of relationship in your life. How do you improve relationship? Well, it starts by caring about someone else. If you only care about yourself, remember the expression, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So when you genuinely care about somebody else and take an interest in them, you start to communicate with them. So I would open the lines of communication and think, if you want to build stronger relationships, because you want this cooperation, you want these more predictable outcomes, you want this flow state, this smoother flowing relationship and collaboration with you and your stakeholders, start by opening those communication channels, because that's what we have to do with any relationship. We have to have good communication. Once we have that, take a genuine interest and have good listening skills. When you're communicating, a good part of, or a best practice is to practice your listening skills. You know, certainly there are more effective forms of communication, and there are more efficient forms of communication, and there's an inverse relationship between those two things. So ideally, when you want to build your relationship, you're going to favor those more effective forms of communication, face-to-face, in person, where you can take advantage of all the various ways we communicate. Besides the words, we also have our facial expression, our body language, our tonality, our tone of voice, the inflection that we use, the cadence in how we speak, our gesticulation. All these kinds of things influence communication. So when you're trying to build your relationship, favor those more effective forms of communication, open up those channels of communication, and practice good listening skills, leaning forward, you know, really listening, not waiting for your turn to talk kind of thing, and nodding, acknowledging, repeating back in your words what somebody has said to you, making sure that you seek first to understand before you're understood, and then be understood. So think of the various ways that you are communicating, and are you a good communicator, or are you one of these people that you're just thinking about what you want to say? The other person's talking and you're just thinking about your response, and as soon as you don't even wait for a pause, maybe you interrupt a lot, that kind of thing. I've been guilty of this. It's easy for me to think of these things because I am not the best listener in the world, and it takes practice. If you acknowledge and identify that same liability within your personality, take some time to work on this, build these habits. So communication is a big thing. What other things do you do to build relationships? Maybe you go out of your way to give things to people, you know, and I'm not talking about necessarily expensive gifts that you may do, give expensive gifts, but you go out of your way to do things for people and give of yourself. So think of giving your time, spending time with people. If you are absent and you're not with people you're trying to build a relationship with, it's really difficult. But the more time you invest into a relationship, sometimes the communication can be silent. You're just spending time together. And I'm just thinking of relationships in general. What things do you do to strengthen relationships? How can you do this with your various stakeholders? How can you do this with your business partners? How can you do this with your customers, with your team members? And it's different. Maybe you need to, as today's exercise or today's homework assignment is, brainstorm this. Make a list of those various stakeholders and maybe emphasize, highlight the one that you really want to build relationships with to a greater degree. Identify those that maybe you're getting a little bit of pushback, or you're running into some confrontation, some sort of friction. I'm not sure what it is that you're noticing, but things aren't going as smoothly as possible. We can look at the alignment of objectives. You can look at, if it's a team member, you can look at remuneration, you can look at recognition, and you can look at other ways that you align objectives. So in the example of customers, are your customers trying to get the best price and you're trying to get the most profit margin? Well, those aren't alignment of objectives. So one way to do that is to just focus on value. Your customers want the very best value, and you should want to offer the very best value. And that's how you can think win-win. And all the other ways that you're trying to align objectives, just think win-win. How can we both win? How can we both get what we want here? And then focus on the relationship. So in today's homework assignment, take a look and highlight those ones that you're getting a little bit of friction with, that you would like to improve the synergy. You would want to improve that flow state and the desired outcome becoming so much easier to achieve, the cooperation. Just take a look at these various ways that you can identify and symptoms of whether or not the relationship is strong or not, whether or not you need to work on it. Highlight the ones that need the most work, and then start brainstorming, because it would be different if it was your spouse that you're trying to build a relationship with, or your kids, because I did mention your family is a stakeholder in your business, or your business partners, or your vendors. It would be different what you want to do. So I think of some vendors in the past, and we talked about spending time and communicating. Well, we might go out for lunch. We might just grab a bite to eat, share some food. This again, when you think about early relationships, when people are dating and things like that, often they grab a bite, right? They go for coffee together and just see where the conversation takes it. And if it's somebody in your business, don't stick to all about business. You really want to genuinely get to know somebody. So we talked about communication, and we're talking about spending time together and giving of yourself and giving to people, whether it's that law of reciprocity. The more you give to people, the more they want to give back. And also think about getting to know someone genuinely, not just about, what's in it for me in this relationship. How can my business benefit from this? Get to know them and find out what makes them tick. How are you going to align objectives if you really don't understand what their objectives are? Why does this person have this job? Why is this person a customer of mine? Why is this person interested in being part of my business? Or why do they have an interest? You will get to know that by understanding them more at a base level, about their family and what motivates them and what do they care about most in life and what are their long-term plans and aspirations and dreams. These are the types of things that build relationship. And I'm telling you, as you invest in relationships, you are going to get greater synergy. So think of that mathematical formula again. So we want to take our alignment of objectives plus relationship, or strong relationship, equals synergy, cooperation, consensus, all the things that you want for that flow state, that smooth operation with you and your stakeholders. Bear in mind, Rome was not built in a day, and relationships, good quality relationships, are not built in a day. You might have heard of love at first sight, but most of the strongest relationships in your life take time. Have you got somebody that when you first met them, you couldn't stand them, or you guys did not get along? You just, for whatever reason. I've got both professional and personal relationships that I could describe that way, that once I got to know the person, once we spent some time together, once we built our relationship, I really respected that person and I cared about that person. So I want you to invest in this. Think of the return on the investment. There is a huge return on investment as it comes to relationships with people. And it's one of the things, it's one of your basic needs in life. You got to, you're running your business to not only make a living, but you're also running it so that you can develop and grow and learn as a person. But a main benefit of your business is the interactions you have with the people. And so this is just one of the things that really makes us tick, and we're social creatures. And think of it as the time you invest in your people, whether it's the ones that work for you or your customers or any other stakeholder, is time well spent. And are you going out of your way and very deliberately and intentionally building relationships? If not, I think that is a great place to start, and I hope you will get something out of this video and take this homework assignment seriously and sort of look at where should I be spending extra time. Relationship building is critical to successful business, and not everybody does this intuitively. You need to practice. You need to build these habits until you become that unconscious competent, where it just comes naturally. There are some people who just get together with people and they feel very natural and they build a relationship. Others of you who are listening to this are like, ugh, you cringe at the thought. You have good relationships with people you've been around for many, many years, and you don't really want to spend any time with people that are new in your life, or maybe there are people that work for you, whatever, and you're like, I don't really want to have a social relationship with them. Well, you don't have to be social and go out for, drinks or coffee or whatever, but you can still brainstorm ways to build the relationship, and it is going to improve your business. And when times get tough, and that's where this cooperation and this consensus is so important. When things are tough and people are questioning, why am I working so hard? Why am I sticking? Why do I have loyalty to this organization? Maybe it's the customer, maybe it's a team member, whatever. Why do I have loyalty? It's the relationship. And when you think about it for a moment, really, it comes back to the alignment of objectives. The reason that this formula works so well is because when you are in a relationship, a strong relationship, you have a very good relationship with somebody, you both have aligned objectives of preserving and maintaining that relationship, and perhaps building that relationship and growing that relationship. And so that's one of the reasons that when times get tough, or when things are, a little out of whack and people are questioning things, they go, you know what, I'm going to stick with this, even though maybe the pay's not great, or it's not the best product or in the world, or there are other options, but I'm going to stick with this company. I'm going to stick with this person because of our relationship. This is very powerful. Do not underestimate this. I can't emphasize it enough. I can say it over and over, but if you're not convinced by now, then you're going to have to experience it in your own life. And it's because of my experience with the power of relationship that I'm able to tell you this so emphatically and encourage you to do it. That's where I think I want to leave this today, and I am curious whether you got something out of this or not. Have you experienced where relationships in business, in the context of your business, have been the primary reason for success, and you've maybe overcome some adversity or some sort of, confrontational situation, or something that should have maybe lost a customer or lost a team member, but because of relationship, it was okay. You were able to preserve things and move forward. Remember, aligning objectives plus relationship equals synergy, cooperation, consensus, and loyalty. So that's where we'll leave it today. So please leave some sort of comment that we can all learn from, because we need to learn from one another. Perpetual refinement.